Hello world, welcome to the 78th Climate Change Emergency Awareness Protest in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, USA. I am doing this from home right now, and then at 8:30 Tanya and I will be on the square in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, USA to do a live the live protest there. I just wanted to do this here from home because it's more quiet and to get my point across. Hopefully I'll be able to convey my feelings and thoughts in this talk. This has been a very important week and month and 3 months for the United States and for the world. Right now is June 5th, as I said, 2020. Next week will be June 12th, 2020 for the 79th rally. Anyways, this has been a hugely important time for the world with the coronavirus outbreak. It was a horrible situation, and it still continues to be. We aren't out of the woods, but what the United States is doing is letting up on the brakes and getting back to capitalism and getting back to work and acting as if everything is okay. It's a great experiment to see if we're going to live through this or not, or everyone's going to get sick or not. But I surmise we'll come out at the other side. Many people will die along the way, and at least we'll all keep working, and that's what's important. But coronavirus showed us that there can be a system change, and that it was forced upon us, but we're able to stay at home for the most part as long as funds are provided, which many people have not even received yet over 3 months. But as long as funds are provided, you do have time to stay at home, and you can contemplate the future of the world or yourself or whatever. It gives you time to think, and governments don't like that when you have time to think. It can cause unrest. But what it did was, by staying at home, slowed our consumption rate. People didn't have money for the most part, or barely enough money to get by. And you're forced into a situation where you have to stay at home, and you're forced to do some thinking and do home projects or talk to your family, things like that, which can be uncomfortable if you're not, totally on board with your own family or friends or whoever you need to talk to. Many people were alone though, and didn't have anyone to talk to or hang out with. So it could have been it can be very trying for people. But what it did was it changed our idea of our own perceived affluence, in that. Do you really need to buy this? Do you need to go to the store today? Do you need to go to the mall? Do you need to just buy and have consumerism? And it changed a lot of people's thought process on that, I believe. In my neighborhood, I saw a lot of people walking, which I hadn't seen before. A lot of people exercising, people walking their dogs, people with their families, people with bicycles and everything riding around. So it transformed us from a consumer society into a contemplative society and a athletic society, I believe. So it was an eye-opener, this whole coronavirus issue going on. But what it did too, though, is it caused us to think about the whole systemic change. And in a sense, the coronavirus and George Floyd are similar and related, and I will hopefully convey this properly. People are starting to realize that a system change is needed. George Floyd was pinned to the ground, if you're not acquainted with it, by a police officer and abetted by 3 other police officers. So basically 4 were involved in his murder. The police officer put his knee on George Floyd's neck, who was a black man, and his last words were, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe." To have that kind of inhumanity and not recognize that you're killing someone is just unfathomable. And to charge this police officer and the other officers with second-degree murder, which means it's a crime of passion like it happens at the moment, is just ungodly. It's not correct. It's just so wrong. The police officer knew exactly what he was doing. He's trained. He knows how to kill people. And this police officer had his hand in his pocket. George Floyd became unresponsive for over 3 minutes before they decided to look at him. And they knew he was dead. The police officer knew he was killing him, and he did not care. The idea of not charging him with first-degree murder, absolute desire to kill George Floyd is just, I can't even describe the feeling within me, and I can't imagine being a person of color realizing that this could easily be them. And what it came down to is protests around the world, especially in the United States, but also around the world, because it hit a chord. Because we realize we are all George Floyd. We could easily be that man on the ground in a police state. You could be that person with a knee on your neck and calling out your final gasping words, "I can't breathe." What a horrible way to go, and what a testament to our militaristic fascist society we have now entered into, where human life is disregarded and the excuse is a $20 counterfeit bill. What is going on with the United States? We have lost our humanity. The leaders don't step up. You don't see these Democratic or Republican leaders on the streets with the protesters doing anything. Oh yeah, they'll give a knee at some little photo op opportunity where the area is cleared of protesters, and they can comfortably put a knee down and act like they're on their side. But in reality, nothing is happening and the system is not changing. And I think the people are recognizing that, and that you had these massive protests met by police force. It was a police brutality act that caused this whole issue. And then people go out in the street and protest, and then there's more police brutality, and in response you have violence. You know, it's not surprising that people end up with violence. Not all of them. I mean, it was mostly a peaceful protest. But you can't be surprised that people meet violence with violence, because once you're pushed down to a point and I can't breathe, your last effort has to be to save your life. And when you're met with more violence and paths are being, for example, Donald Trump wanted a photo op from the White House to go to a church like half a mile away from the White House. So these protests were going on between the White House and the church he wanted to go to. So the police cleared a path with tear gas and rubber bullets, and people were shot with rubber bullets, flashbang grenades. I mean, what is going on in this country is just crazy as far as behavior towards other human beings. So that Donald Trump could stand there in front of a church with a Bible and hold it up and act like he was a man of God. You know, the actions thereof by Donald Trump and his little minions was proof that they are not people of God, and our country and leaders have lost contact with the very humanity that they were supposed to go in there and protect and serve. Police are there to protect and serve. They're not there to make sure they can get home safely at night. Their job is to get between harm's way and you, and protect you and serve you and make sure you can get home at night. They're the shield, and these police are given the excuse that they're scared. They run over people with cars because they're scared. If the reverse was true and people that were scared of the police ran over police, they'd be attacked and arrested, for that very reason, that the same excuse that the police are giving as far as, their excuse about running over people. So it comes down to a system change is needed, starting with the police, hopefully, and reevaluating, I'd say, throughout the whole group, and then start over with people that aren't beefed up on steroids, and people that can actually think and have a human response to actions that are happening. That might go a long way in the communities of the world, as far as behavior and working with people and protecting and serving people. Hopefully I'm making sense with this, but it's a very upsetting situation, and in a sense these protests erupted because we all recognized ourselves as being George Floyd. This wasn't just about one man. That was a flashpoint and the final straw that broke the camel's back, that people can't take it, and things need to systemically change as to what's going on, whether it be the police or the actions of the politicians or our own corrupt system as to where we are with greed and corruption. Climate change is all about corporations and politics right now. You got a situation developing where you have billionaires and trillionaires. Trillionaires are now gonna, the guy that owns Amazon, who pays no taxes, by the way, they didn't pay any taxes in 2018 or 19. They're owned by these billionaires and trillionaires who pay towards the campaigns of these politicians who write laws, submit them, get them passed to the benefit of the corporations who make even more money. The idea of having billions and trillionaires is absolutely ridiculous. There's only so many dollars or money out there, and it's a pie. And if you have smaller slivers of the pie available to the public, eventually you're going to end up with system unrest. People don't appreciate it when your family's starving to death, or you can't pay for housing or food or water or anything like that. And climate change is being run by the corporations through greed, and that it's out and out pollution, and they don't care. As long as they keep making money and producing crap we don't need, they're happy. And what we're doing is basically we're all dying and we don't know it. The politicians are being paid off to destroy our very lives, and the knee right now is on our necks as far as survivability. We are all George Floyd in this situation. You know, we're in a situation that we can no longer breathe, and that the pollution that is going on in the world will eventually kill us. CO2 level is right now 417 parts per million, and only 200 parts per million to 280 parts per million is survivable. As I said, it's 417 parts per million. When I was born, it was 316 parts per million. So in my lifetime, it has gone up over 100 points. It's not a good situation as far as survivability. There's a 15-year time lag between CO2 levels and temperatures catching up. So right now we're causing our own destruction through our own perceived affluence that we need to consume. And the knee of the corporations is on our neck as far as forcing a situation on us where we have to work 40 to 60 hours a week and still have no money at the end of the day. Most likely this is going to end up very badly, and we're seeing the effects of it around the world. So we need to change the whole system. As I said, the tactics, if you don't pay your taxes, you lose your house. If you don't pay your taxes, you're thrown in jail. And what happens is that it's backed up by the military and police force as far as making it your responsibility to change everything, or to pay for everything. It's not a good situation what's happening. I'm just really disjointed with this George Floyd situation, and that we really are George Floyd, and we are all dying and we don't know it. Something is really wrong with the situation. I think people protesting realize that the situation being handed to us is wrong and things need to change. That was the main cause of the whole protest and everything else, where we realize we are George Floyd. Our lifestyles need to change. The system needs to change. Capitalism needs to change. Consumerism needs to change. Work weeks need to go down to 20 hours a week to 3 days a week, which would give people time to think about things, which the government does not want you to do. If you have time to think about things, you realize even more how corrupted everything is. Elections, the ballot box doesn't necessarily change anything. You end up with the same right-wing oriented, whether it's in the Democratic or Republican parties in this country, right-wing oriented politicians, in that they feel that militarism is the answer to things, and they never met a war they didn't like. Our life is trickling away from us, and the knee of climate change is on our neck, and we're dying, and we're uttering the words, "We can't breathe." People don't know it yet that they're dying, but the words "I can't breathe" are being uttered right now by humanity and by the earth. And hopefully we will all change our ways and get the system to change, but I seriously doubt it, because we're stuck in consumerism and capitalism. But in a sense, as I said before, we are all George Floyd. Thanks for hanging in here with me. I know it's a disjointed conversation. It's early in the morning, and this is a really upsetting time for all of us. And you're starting to see this thumb screw getting tighter and tighter on all of us, and there's no escaping it. And we have to do something soon. Otherwise, we are dead people walking, and life on Earth is also dead as far as surviving. And I hope people have time to contemplate and assess where we're headed, and hopefully things will change. Thanks for hanging in there. See you later. Bye.